our webinar. My name is Justine Chappell, and I am the Communications and Marketing Manager for ZAPP. Today, I'm going to answer some questions that were submitted to us ahead of time. And depending on how long those take to answer, we only have about 5 questions to get through. We might have some time for me to answer any questions you have today. The first question we have is, where can I find a copy of the emails I sent to artists? So after sending an email, let's go into ZAPP as an admin here. Let's go back to our main page. After sending an email, a copy gets recorded in the application for every artist who received it. So to find a copy, you just need to go to one of those artists. So for example, let's say I did email. We have a small batch of artists in our demo event here, but let's just say I emailed the confirmed status and I want to go and look at that copy. I'll go and pull up that confirmed status. I'll find the artist in that list, just any of these, because I know I sent it to a whole batch will work. So I'll click on the application ID number. And in here in the application is where those emails get recorded. So in this email section, you'll see we've got the list here. Looks like this particular email only has those confirmation receipts, but if you had sent an email to them about the event details or anything, then you wanted to see what that email included. If you didn't save a copy yourself, you would just click on that heading and it would pull up a pop-up window of that email. Obviously, this one is just the receipt. Let's see if I can go back and find one for a different type of email sent. Let's see here. Maybe I'll go to my other one, my previous event here. Thought I had one pulled up. Nope. Oh, well, in any case, that's where you find the copy of the emails. And also, if you didn't already know, a good reminder when you're sending an email, let's just go to the communication section. You can also choose to have yourself receive a copy of that email. So let's say if I were to go in and send these emails, when you're drafting that email, just be sure to click send copy, and that will send it a copy of that first email. The first artist that received it, you'll just get that copy in your inbox so that you can always save it there. And then I also wanted to mention, related to this topic, kind of related, but if you didn't get the memo or see the update, artists can now actually find emails on their end in their ZAPP account. So in addition to you being able to see the copy in the application page and the email, of course, going to the inbox, I have us logged in here as an artist. We now have a notification center, so artists can click that and see a copy of the emails that they received for specific events. And this is really handy, just in case there are any email deliverability issues, or if the artist can't seem to find an email, you can always let them know that the notification center will now have a copy of all the emails that were sent by the event. And when we created this update, we did include all the emails going back a couple years worth. So all those historical emails from the last couple years will be in there. And then, of course, going emails will be recorded for the artists in their notification center. The next one that we received is, how do I know if I have enough revenue to cover a refund? Can you explain the refund process? So if you need to refund an artist, you can do so directly. So if you have the funds and you can send them a check or whatever, you can do that. Or of course, you can submit a refund request for the ZAPP team to process it for you. In this case, the refund request guide will be your friend here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat in case you want it right now. But this guide has everything you need to know about submitting a refund request and includes the refund request form just at the bottom of the page. And this is what you'll fill out when you submit a refund. Also at the top, it shows a few criteria that need to be met in order for us to submit the process that refund. And one of which is kind of related to this question about having enough money in your account in ZAPP from which to refund. So as you know, we pay out every month, and as long as your account still has enough funds collected by other, purchases made in ZAPP to cover the amount of the refund you're looking for, we can go ahead and process that for you. So, like this question is alluding to, you sometimes need to figure out if you have enough in your account to be able to submit that refund request. And to do that, what you want to do is run an income breakdown report. So under reports, we'll go to income breakdown. And so what you'll want to do is you'll want to run this report showing all of the transactions from the current month to date. So, it's June 19. If I'm going to submit a refund request, I need to check to make sure that all the revenue collected from June 1st to today, that will cover the amount. The amount collected during that time period is enough. So I'll set that date range, month, first of the month to the current date. And then what I'll want to do is exclude the selected filters down below, and I want to exclude checks. That's because checks don't get sent to ZAPP, they get sent to you, so we don't have those funds, so I want to exclude that from the report. And then if you wanted to, you could also exclude $0 transactions just so it doesn't fill up the report. That might not even be applicable. And you can also go ahead and exclude refunds because refunds would already have been, processed and taken out of your revenue. Other than that, you can go ahead and choose the event that you're collecting revenue for and click Run Report. This demo event doesn't actually have much information, so just ignore the fact that I'm going to include check processes because those are fake purchases and I'm going to run it for a prior year, but don't look into that right now. Just know that if you're running it for the month to date, what you'll do is once you get the report, head to the bottom, go to the collected column, and make sure that this collected column, which will indicate your net amount, so less any credit card fees, that collected amount for the month to date should be enough to cover the refund. And if it is, we can process that refund for you. If it's not enough, then you have a couple options. You can either, again, refund them directly by sending the artist a check, or you can wait to see if you do collect more refund or more revenue in the current month. Especially if you're trying to get a refund early on in the month, you might just want to wait a little bit and make sure you submit that request with enough time so that we're not processing that refund after we pay you out for the following month. So that's how you check to see if you have enough revenue to cover the refund. And if that is enough, then you'll want to submit the form that's at the page here. So enter your information. You'll include the details about your event, deadline, stuff like that, and then you'll indicate if you're requesting multiple refunds or just one. If you have more than 5 refunds, you'll just send us a message about the reason for that. Usually it's an event cancellation, but in that case, we'll do more of a bulk refund process instead of you having to input all the details for every single artist. We'll do all the heavy lifting for you. There might be a small refund processing fee that we'll charge, but other than that, we'll take care of it. And if it is just 1 or up to 5 refunds, you can go ahead and fill out the rest of the form for that. That includes the artist's name, the product they purchased, how much is to be refunded. Things like transaction ID, that can be found on the income breakdown report as well, or it can be found in the events management table under the application itself. And if you need any help, the top of this guide here does kind of include how to find the transaction ID. But if there's any information that you're struggling to find, feel free to just reach out to our team and we can help you get those details ready so that you can have us process that refund for you. So once you submit the form, we'll review your request and process the refund, typically within 48 business hours. And if you do need to refund more than 5 artists, it might take us a little bit longer, but we'll work through those and make sure that everyone is squared away. Now, I'm going to take this opportunity to expand on this topic to bring up something that I just want to inform you all about. One thing about refunds is that hopefully artists will choose to reach out to ZAPP or reach out to you and ask for that refund directly if it is something that is legitimate. Sometimes, however, artists will initiate chargebacks. That means they will go to their bank or their financial institution and dispute the charge that they're looking to get refunded. Sometimes this happens in earnest because artists don't recognize the charge as something for an event. They might not know what ZAPP necessarily means on their credit card statement. And so that does happen. But I just wanted to bring up a few reminders for things regarding chargebacks and payment disputes. One thing that can be really tricky about this is if an artist initiates a chargeback, that's up to the ZAPP team to be notified about, and then either we can accept it, we can fight the dispute, or we can try to get the artist to close that dispute by explaining to them what the charge is for. So this can be tricky because ZAPP is that third party here regarding between you and the artist, and we just want to make sure that any chargebacks or payment disputes gets handled in a timely manner so that we're not losing out on the funds. And if we do lose a dispute, we will come to you as the event administrator to recoup those funds that are lost. So it can be time consuming and cost you money. So here's just some reminders to help prevent chargebacks. One of those is providing as much detail as possible on your products in your summary and your event info. You make sure to include the description for the prices, the event dates, entry requirements. A lot of stuff I know you already do include, but all that information will become relevant if we do get a chargeback. Make sure you set clear expectations about refunds and cancellation policies, including deadlines for when certain refunds are eligible. That all becomes evidence for us to submit to our payment processor and show them that the artist was adhering or not adhering to the refund policy set out. Also, make sure you're maintaining open lines of communication with artists. If they have an issue, if they have a question, before they get to the stage of challenging that payment, we want to make sure we get that resolved. Also, be sure to record and keep all communications that you have with artists. So writing down or putting in writing any phone or verbal conversations, maintaining and keeping those emails that regarding, payments or refund questions. The team might ask for these things when gathering evidence to fight these disputes. So if we're able to submit evidence to PayPal or Braintree, which are our payment processors, that, hey, this artist said that, this is the reason why they don't, that they want a refund or something like that, but clearly as they agree to in the legal terms for this event, a refund is not applicable in this case. So that all becomes refund or evidence that we can hopefully win that chargeback. And so if we do reach out to you, we just ask that you respond as quickly as possible so we don't lose out on the ability to fight the case. One thing to know is that when a chargeback is initiated, we only have about a week to get that evidence submitted and hopefully fight that case. If we miss that deadline for responding because we're waiting to hear back from you, then we will lose the ability to fight the case, and that means we'll have to lose the funds that the artist is disputing, and then pass those funds or that charge to you. So I know that was pretty long-winded about chargebacks and disputes, but just wanted to let you all know that if we do reach out regarding one, just get back to us as soon as you can, and hopefully we can minimize the effects of those. The next question that was submitted to us is, what information is public in the gallery? So if you don't know, ZAPP Gallery is an add-on feature that can be added to any active event you have on ZAPP, and it will pull the artwork and artist information for your accepted and confirmed artists. So let's go back into ZAPP. I'll pull up the gallery by going to our event editor. I'll pull up the gallery settings, I should say. And so when you purchase the gallery, this gallery tab will be open for you on the event editor, and you'll have the option to display information. And it's pretty simple because it does happen automatically. All you have to do is really indicate which information you want to display on the gallery. So in terms of event information, you can choose and opt in to display certain bits of information like the event start and end date, the location, the type, social media and website, you can include a separate summary of the gallery that maybe has more promotional language if you are going to share this with the public. And that's pretty much it. That's all you have to do is kind of indicate what information you want to display. Now, when it comes to artist information, I'm going to open a different gallery we have here, kind of a demo. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it kind of shows the artist's artwork and lists, their locations where they'll be in the event. So if we were to click on one of these, you'll see it shows the artwork info, and it shows the images. They can click through the different images submitted by the artist. In terms of artist info, it includes their name, the artwork titles, the category they're in, the price, their location, and their artist website if they have one. Another thing it will do that it doesn't show right here, but it will also show a list of other shows that the artists will be at. So if artists are on other shows or going to other shows that are hosted on ZAPP, ZAPP will pull in that information here on the gallery, and it will say this artist is also attending such and such events. I will say that we have heard some feedback from artists that don't like that particular feature. They don't want the public for an event to know the other shows they'll be at for various reasons. We're still gathering info about this, but we do have it on our product wish list to introduce a new way for artists to control exactly what information is included in their gallery features. And speaking of that, artists have the ability to opt in or out of the gallery. The default is opted in, but if they want to go to their applications and opt out of the gallery for a specific event, they can do that too. So if you're an admin that uses a gallery, just be aware that some artists might opt out of the gallery. But that's the info that is shown, and again, it'll show as well the booth number for the event that they're assigned, and the public or whoever's coming here can find artists by name, location, or by specific mediums. At the bottom, oh, that's it. So they can filter by different things or show that list view so that they can find specific artists by booth number. And I have a question in the chat. Can you use the gallery app on Facebook or Instagram? You can share the gallery URL. So when you are in your gallery settings, you can copy that URL and it will send a link to, obviously in your Facebook or Instagram post. Right now, it's not something that the gallery can be embedded in Facebook or Instagram. So we don't really have, a specific app or something like that. But what you can do, instead of just using the URL, you can embed it in your own website. So if you have the ability to edit your own website for the event and you want to include this gallery so that it's, it'll look the same as what you're seeing here. It just kind of opens it just kind of displays as a separate piece of your web page. Then you can use that embed code. You just insert that for your website and it will pull directly into your website, and you don't have to navigate artists to a different URL. Besides what I just mentioned in terms of the event details and the artist information, nothing else from the artist's application is available. Obviously, that would kind of be extreme if they could see, any comments made that by our admins or jurors, for example. All the other information is private to those that can view the application, the administrators. So. That's the gallery. And if you want to use the gallery for your event, feel free to reach out to our team and we can get you set up with one. The next question we have submitted to us, speaking of add-on features, is how do I move pins on the booth map? So, excuse me, the booth map is part of the booth management add-on where you can assign booths to your accepted and confirmed artists visually on a map. So let me go ahead and get to our booth map. It's just under Events Booth Management. Recently, we added the ability to move pins after you place them. So just a quick overview, if you don't already know, when you sign up for Booth Map, you can upload your own sitemap. So this is just a very simple demo kind of map that we're looking at here, but you would upload a PDF or a JPEG file of your own map and would display as such. And then you would be able to click Assign Booth, and then you see our cursor here is a little plus sign. You can then click on your booth map where you want to assign your pin. You would then include, the booth number, and you would then find the artist that you want to assign to this location. You can select a pin style depending on, if you want to categorize it by medium categories. You could set a pin size so that if your booth is really large and you've got a lot of booths, then you can make it a small pin so that it can fit better, or in this case, we could use a large one. And then you can also color code these and assign different colors to your pins. Let's go ahead and do that one. Once you save it, it then gets saved to this location. And then the booth map can be, you can click on the pin and view the artist information. This then becomes publicly available. If I were to click View Public Booth Map and open that up, similar to the gallery, this becomes a public URL that you can share with your patrons. You can share even just with artists to let them know where each other will be. This can help kind of include this information and pull all the data from ZAPP automatically. So you can see here, this is the pin that we just assigned, and folks can see where artists will be. But to get back to the question of being able to move the pins, one of the things that we did add was the ability to, move these pins after we've already created them. Previously, you had to delete the pin and create the new one. But now you can click Move Pins. It's down here on the right. Once you do this, it kind of goes into moving mode, where what I will do is click the pin I want to move. You'll see it gets kind of highlighted. And then I will move it. I'll click a new location, and it will move the pin. And then if I want to click a new pin, I can go over here and move that one over. Sometimes it has to be really precise on where you're clicking, so just be aware of that. Another thing, technically you can't drag and drop, but as you can see here, I'm going to click on hold, and as I'm moving it to a new location without deselecting, if I then release my click where I want it to go, it's essentially the same as a drag and drop. So you can just move those over however you want. And just know that once you've selected, let's go back to the area. Once you've selected a pin and you click the location, new location, maybe you then want to actually move it a little bit closer, or you decide to move it here, it's still going to move that same pin until you either select a new pin to then move, or you click Save Pin Locations. And Save Pin Locations is pretty important, so be sure to click Save, and that will save the locations of those pins that you moved. So that's how you move the pins, and just be sure to click Save and you're good to go. Like I said, some maps do get a little cumbersome with the scale and the size and the number of booths, but just know that you can upload as large of an image as you need to be able to include those, all the pins that you can. So I recommend having one, even if the map itself is not to scale, do one that kind of shows relative locations and orientation, but gives you enough room to place these pins in an organized way. But as you can see down below, it also lists all the locations, and if you need to delete them or edit the details, you can go in and do that there. Let's say if I want to delete this, I could do that. So that's a little bit about the booth map. And let's see, did I forget to say anything about that? I don't think so. But if you do want, again, if you want to use the booth map as part of our booth management add-on, which also gives you the ability to collect booth requests from artists, you can contact our team and we can set that up for you. All right, we have one more pre-submitted question to go through, and then we can get on to any other questions you have. So this question is, I need to invite artists off the waitlist. How do I let them pay for their booth fees after the deadline? And I'm assuming they mean the purchase deadline. So I'm going to go through kind of what it's like to manage a waitlist. Let's go back to events management. So, assuming after your jury process you have created the wait list, let's go back to our actual event here. You might have created the wait list in the jury process, and you hopefully have assigned your artist on the wait list a number. So, if I go click on wait list status, we only have a couple here, but you can see that there's the waitlist number and we've assigned, the waitlist order here. By the way, if you don't see the waitlist number column, be sure to click the table editor, and that will pull up the columns that you have the option to view and make sure that waitlist number is selected. So let's say I have a longer waitlist and I want to sort to see the next person. I'm going to click the waitlist column once to sort ascending. So that will give me number one first. And so this artist here, let's say we want to move them to the wait list or off the wait list. While we do that, I want to show you the artist side of things. So let me actually open up the artist end of this application. So in our applications, you can see from the artist side, their status is waitlist and they're number one on the waitlist. So it kind of shows them that there. So let's say you have someone has canceled, you move them to the decline status or whatever the case is, and you're ready to admit this artist to the event and have them purchase their booth fees. The first thing you want to do, of course, is well, one thing I will say is we recommend making sure you notify the waitlisted artists after they, I'm sure you would after the jury process, tell them what to expect if they do get pulled off the waitlist, and the instructions for going back. But of course, your next step would be notifying whoever is getting off of the waitlist and moving them to the invited status. So the invite status allows them to see that they've been invited, they've been pulled off the waitlist, and then we'll set it up so that they can purchase their booth fees. So I'll click update. So now that artist is in the invited status. So I go back here and I refresh my page, you'll see it shows invited. You will see, however, that they don't have the option to accept their invite or purchase any booth fees. So we're going to adjust that now. To do this, we're going to have to set our purchase deadline, of course, in the event editor. When we come to the accept invitation and purchase deadline, this makes sense that it would be in the past because that's when the main group got to purchase their booth. But for this artist who is now in the invited status, we're going to need to set this date to the future. So maybe we give them a week or so to purchase their booths. And I'll make sure I save that. There is another way of doing this by instead of doing the deadline, you actually just go to the product editor. You can override the purchase deadline for certain booth products. We don't recommend this though because it then doesn't become very clear to the artist that they can accept their invite and then go and purchase. It kind of just is a workaround that allows the artist to have to they have to go straight to their ZAPP shop, and it's not really clear on their end that they can pay. So the best way is to make sure you update that purchase deadline. Now that we've updated it, if I refresh our artist side again, you can see that we have the ability to accept or reject the invitation. Let's go ahead and go through that process. In this case, you would have emailed the artist letting them know that they can go into ZAPP and accept the invitation and purchase their booths. And so we can accept the invite. And so then we will see the purchases option. So that is really what they need to do is go to purchases. That takes them to the ZAPP shop where they can purchase the booths. So once the artist purchases everything, they will then, of course, move to the confirm status, and then we all set to go like their main artists. Of course, right now they're going to be accepted because we didn't go through the process of actually purchasing their booths. But that's how you move artists off the wait list. You go ahead, you just move them into invited like you did your other artists that you invited originally. You set that purchase deadline in the future so that they have the ability to purchase their booths, and then the artist takes it from there. So, of course, you'd be in constant communication to let them know, when they have to purchase their booths by and everything like that. Of course, once they do accept and do purchase their booths, don't forget to update their booth number. So that's in there. And then the other thing I'm going to mention too is about waitlists is, let's say you're maintaining a waitlist. I recommend creating a tag for all your waitlists, and I'll show you why in a second. So on the right here, you can go ahead and create a tag. I know they're already in the waitlist status, but if you add a tag to the waitlist, that means that no matter what status they're in, they'll always be tagged as someone who is on the waitlist, and you can then filter your communications to only waitlisted artists. So in this case, let's say they were in the invited status or whatever, but we do have this artist in the accepted status, and they have a waitlist tag. Then I can make sure I include only tagged applicants, and I'll choose that waitlist tag. And that will really just, assuming I have more than just one in the status, that's just saying I'm emailing all of my waitlist folks, and everyone else is not getting an email. I'm only emailing the waitlist folks. And without doing that in the status, if they're mixed up amongst multiple statuses, let's see if if I include them only, now there's two artists that I'm emailing, across different statuses. That tag is really helpful to be able to email only waitlisted artists. So that's about all I have for the waitlist. And if you do need any further help with that, or if for some reason an artist isn't able to purchase booths for whatever reason and you need help troubleshooting, again, feel free to reach out to our team and we'd be happy to help. First, from Randall, is there a way for the flag feature to show on their profile? So up, if they make the application again, same with the tag featured. So say we give them a credit or need to tag or flag their file for any reason, instead of having to dig through their file and history, it appears. You might need to hop on if you don't mind to elaborate a little bit, just so I can understand your question. But I don't believe that artists can see if you have flagged or tagged their application.
No, they can't see it if we flag or tag it. But for some, say you go into their their profile, like click on any of the artists and go to their tag feature.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I guess we'll go here.
yeah. So all right. So see where it says flag
Yep.
or tag. Say you create tag. Say it's waitlist, or say it's credit for this, or
Mm.
they drove on the grass. So you want to tag their file for future reference. Is,
Mm.
is there any way for that to show up on their top part of their profile so that it's a reminder for next time
Uh-huh.
they apply? So
Gotcha.
see where
Yeah.
the contact information is?
Yeah.
It doesn't show there. So for some reason, they apply a year later, or
Mm-hmm.
it's several shows later, and like we've given them a credit, or we promised them a corner. We
Right.
like I'll go in and I'll tag their file so that it's a reminder. But
Right.
a lot of cases we have to go through and dig for it. And I was
Yeah.
wondering if there's any way in the contact information if it could appear up there.
Yeah, unfortunately not. It's really, when you're flagging or tagging, it's just for that application for that current year. And events don't have the ability to kind of maintain a list of artist profiles year over year that carries that information that you're looking for. So the only way that I would recommend to keep that is to maintain a separate record outside of ZAPP of artists that have certain things, because tagging is only going to tag that application, and like you said, you're going to have to go back and try
Well,
to find that.
yeah, and that's an easy recommendation if you're doing one
Mhm.
show. But we say we got 20 or 24 shows,
Yeah.
you know, you're dealing with thousands of artists. Um,
Exactly, yeah. I
so
will definitely pass that on, because we, as you know, um, there's a artist profile, right? Like as you're seeing, at the top here, that this pulls from the profile, but those profiles aren't technically visible year over year to artists. So I do understand being able to go into just the artist, not as, and maybe it lists all their applications that they've submitted to you or something, and includes those general notes. Yeah, I could see that being helpful.
yeah, because again, if when we got multiple shows and hundreds of applications,
Yeah.
being able to say, oh, wait a minute, Justin drove on the grass last year,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Justin got a credit for this booth.
Right. Right.
If it's up in their contact information, and or even if there's a check tags or something like that, um, it would be helpful for us to be able to know what's going on with that customer.
Yeah. Even just like maybe a tag history or flag history that shows all the previously, you know,
Right.
previous tags. Okay. I'll definitely pass that to our team. That is very helpful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
and
then go
Mark,
ahead.
can you go back to the notification features? Because I was unfamiliar with that. Sorry, guys. And as an administrator, we don't see that, do we?
No, no. This is basically just a copy of all the emails that they get, and it's just really a copy. It's not really like a two-way communicator or anything. This would be the same as, you're seeing the email section on the
Mhm.
artist side.
Mhm.
And we added this, and it was really recent, so I don't blame you for not knowing. We added this because there are sometimes email deliverability issues. When you send an email to artists, they don't necessarily see it come through their inbox. They have some filter on it or anything, but this just gives them that they can always go to ZAPP to see those emails come through from events.
Yeah, all of our communications are done strictly through ZAPP, so we have a history of it. So
Yeah.
knowing that helps. So
Yeah.
and we send a copy to ourselves, with
Mhm.
one copy and
Yep.
with
We
send me a copy. But
Mhm.
that's a nice feature. Finally,
Yeah.
I
Yep. And hopefully in the future too, we'll be able to add to this to make it a little more robust than just copies of the emails. Maybe they can respond to it and stuff like that too. But
oh no, don't let
this
us
is
want.
step one.
Thanks.
Yeah. Ellen, you had a question about the cost of the map and the gallery.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to our page because I don't want to give you the wrong information. In the Help Center, we've got our add-ons section here. So the gallery will cost $200 per event, and the booth management is $100 if you're doing it for one event, or if you need it for two or more events, then it cost is $50 per event. So it's if you have more than two, you're saving money there. So this page I can put in the chat here. You can review all the information and request those in this form here. If you click on request and click agree, you can fill out the form and that will let us know you're interested. Well, that wraps up today's Q&A webinar. I hope you or those watching this recording right now or later in the future got your questions answered or learned something new. If anything comes up, I know you know this is our email, zaphelp@wearecreativewest.org. We can answer any questions you have. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you at our next webinar. Our next one will be in August.